Om Shri Sai Ram. With love and humility, I offer myself at the lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai. Respected elders, sisters, and brothers of Sai family, Sai Ram to one and all. Welcome to Samarpan, an offering of gratitude from the alumni of Sri Sathya Sai Educational Institutions, held on 3rd of every Sunday here. It is an offering by the alumni as an expression of gratitude, having spent all those loving years with Swami right under his lotus feet. It is an evening for all of us to come together and relive our cherished moments with Swami and relive and recapitulate his word, his work, and his every way, and by it share this joy and bliss. This 88th Samarpan, we are blessed to have with us Sri Dillip Kumar Choudhury sir, alumnus of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Sir had studied his undergraduation here in Brindavan campus in the year 1986, and sir later went on to pursue his master's in business administration in the year 1991. Post his master's, sir had served in the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences in Prashantigram until the year 2003. From the year 1989 until 2005, sir had the golden opportunity to serve Swami from the closest proximity. And sir came to Swami's fold in the year 1979 when for the very first time sir saw Swami when his father brought a photograph of Swami. It must be truly love at first sight indeed. Without taking much of your time, I would now love to invite sir to take over the stage and share with us his wonderful memories and experiences with Bhagwan. Over to Sri Dillip Kumar sir.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Revered elders, brothers, sisters, Sai Ram to all of you. When Brother Prashant approached me to come and share a few of my experiences on this evening, I asked him, what should I talk? And he said, speak about yourself, autobiography. Autobiography in Brindavan, in an event of Samarpan. One of the best combination that it is today. The reason why, because I was born here. You may be wondering, Brother Prem announced that I'm from Odisha, but I'm saying that I'm born here. When I joined Brindavan, that is where my life began. I learned that as a man, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I had read until that time what exactly this statement meant. But as I started staying here in Brindavan, interacting with Bhagwan, interacting with all the students and going through the routines of Brindavan hostel and college, I internalized that we are really spiritual human beings having a human experience. Samarpan, why it is very important? Because this is where I learned, after coming to Brindavan, the true meaning of Samarpan. I once asked Bhagwan, what is the meaning of Samarpan? What is surrender that Swami keeps talking about? And then Swami very beautifully explained to me. He said, look at a little child when the child tries to climb up on a window and the railing. All of us remember when we were little ones, we have loved to climb up on the railing. And then after climbing the first step, second step, third, fourth, and suddenly we look down and then we realize, oh my God, we have gone up very high. And then a fear grips us. And then suddenly you look behind and your mother is standing there lovingly and he says, come onto my arms. And what do? We just leave aside all the fears. We just leave that window and fall into her arms. Surrender is that. We leave all our strength, that ego that is that I can do this, I can do that, I have all this power. And then you leave everything and then you just fall in the lap of Bhagwan. Same way, Bhagwan went on to explain as well. He said, you're walking and you fall down and you're not able to get up on your own. And you just lift your hand up and I will be there to lift you up. That's our loving Mother Sai. I learned the true meaning of surrender, Samarpan, here. Now coming to the autobiography, Swami, please forgive me if during my talk I talk more about my own self. So I would like to take you all back to my grandfather. He had two sons, my father and my father's elder brother. He was a Gandhian. All his life I have seen him doing the charkha and weaving his own clothes. He could afford education for only one son. That was my father's elder brother. And when my father finished his 10th standard, he told him, I cannot educate you anymore. So you please go, leave the house and find the living for yourself. And my father stepped out of Odisha and for the first time, and he started. Odisha has one of the largest river called Mahanadi. And every year there used to be floods. Father joined a group where he could serve. So whenever there was to be floods, there used to be a lot of people who would houses, huts would get washed away. And then there was a lot of work that was needed to be done for the rehabilitation, just like what's happening in Kerala now. And then that is where my father came across a group of Christian missionaries. And he became interested in that spiritual journey. He read Bible. He started questioning, asking about those concepts, until he came to a point where he realized that nobody could answer any further. Then he thought, okay, this is all the limitation of this particular group. Then immediately he switched over to Gayatri Parivar, because that is where he found an answer. And then he again started reading up all the books of Gayatri Parivar, came up to a point again when he was again stuck with a spiritual question. Thank you. And then after that, he would continue. Then he got stuck again with the Gayatri Parivar. Nobody could answer him another question. Then he switched on to Ramakrishna Paramahamsas. And then from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to Aurobindo Study Circle. And we were at that time very small. So every now and then, in a couple of months, we would see a new photograph of one of the gods and goddesses come into our house. And then they would be in the front room on the top, we would have one after another. And our altar was filled with all types of gods and goddesses. Then finally, one particular day, we started attending the bhajans of Divine Life Society, Swami Shivananda Maharaj. And father had taken his parents and his sister and had gone to Rishikesh. And he had read quite a lot of these spiritual books of Swami Shivananda Maharaj and Krishnananda Maharaj. And then he was actually stuck with one of the questions. And then, in order to find that answer, One evening, he started off on a journey, unknown, in one of those very less traveled roads. As he was going, the sun had already set, and suddenly someone called out his name. He was in Rishikesh, and he was a little surprised when someone called out his name. And then he looked back, and then he realized that there was an sadhu wearing an ochre robe, standing. And then he told him, "Don't you love your life? Another one step, you would fall in the valley, down. And no one even know that you were here. And if you die there, who will take care of your parents? Who will take care of your sister whom you have brought here? Who will take care of your family back in Odisha?" He was stunned. He had not told anyone that he had come along with his parents and sister and his parents. We all were there in Odisha. So he immediately went forward and wanted to touch his feet. Then that sadhu stepped back a couple of steps. He said, "Don't touch my feet. You will touch the feet of the avatar, and the avatar will tell you when to touch his feet." And after that, that sadhu vanished. So father came back and he forgot about it. Father had heard about Swami, but he logically he argued that how can someone lead people in the path of spirituality when he materializes materialistic objects and gives it to people? Because in his mind he was thinking that material world and the spiritual world are different. They cannot coexist. So, in his department there was a couple of colleagues, and they had come to Puttaparthi, and they had gone back, and then one of the devotee very excitedly was talking about how Bhagwan had given discourse and what Swami told. And then he was overhearing this. Then he turned to him and I said this very thing: "How can you believe someone when he materializes rings and watches, which are materialistic objects, and which is very enemy of spirituality?" That devotee very patiently heard Father. Then he said, "Have you seen Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba?" Father told, "No." "Have you read any book of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba?" Father said, "No." "Have you ever attempted to know what exactly he does?" Father said, "No." "A learned person like you have not seen Bhagwan, have not read his book, have not even cared to know what work he does, then whose opinion are you having in your mind? And how true is that?" That's when logical mind of my father realized something what I have been doing all these years is not right. I have not seen, I have not heard him, but I have been talking. Then first thing that he did is, next day, he booked a ticket, found out where Puttaparthi was, and landed up in Prashant Nilayam. 79. Very few devotees were there in Parthi. He sat there, those were the sand days. Very few devotees, so almost like every darshan he got the first row. Swami would come, Swami would look at everyone, but Swami never looked at my father. One day, second day, third, fourth, he had planned to stay there for 7 days. On the final day, nothing happened. Then during morning bhajan, Swami comes out and walks up to the place where my father was sitting. And in Odia, Bhagwan tells him, "See everything, hear everything, do not open your mouth." So all these years, what father was doing is, he had not seen Swami, he had not heard about Swami, but was talking a lot. Here was Bhagwan who told him, see everything, hear everything, do not open your mouth. Still, Father thought, this is the first time I'm coming to Swami. Swami doesn't know me. Maybe it was for someone else. And Swami just moved on. After Swami moved on, the devotees around Father suddenly came and asked, what did Swami tell you? That's when Father realized that there is no one around him who had come from Odisha. And he came back to our home with a photograph of Swami. And that photograph of Swami took the center place in our altar. And all other gods and goddesses moved to the side. And that photograph happened to be the same photograph we had in our Samiti. And we started our Balavikas classes. I love to sing and bhajans. And then what happened is, one evening, one night when I was sleeping, I get a dream. So mind you, till that time, I had seen only one picture of Swami. And it was the same picture which was there at our home and Samiti. And Samiti, we used to have all the Balvikas classes and things. And in that photograph, it was a bust-size photo of Swami wearing an orange robe and hand on one hand on another hand, as if, Swami putting talam to the bhajan. And in the dream, I hear someone knocking on the main door. I wake up in my dream. I open the door. And I see Swami standing in white robe. I was shocked. I think I'm used to seeing Swami in orange robe. Now Swami coming in front of me in a white robe. And then little I just peeped behind his shoulders and I saw a very beautiful white car. I thought, oh, Swami has car as well. Because these are the things which were not told to me. And then suddenly Swami tells me, you're constructing a house? I said, yes, Swami. Will you show me? I said, yes, sure. Let me wake up someone to lock the door from behind. Swami told, don't worry, no thief will enter. You close the door and come. And then Swami took the wheels. I thought, wow, Swami knows driving as well. No one had told me about that. And then I sat in the front, and then Swami took me, and Swami started driving the car to the house. I started giving direction to Swami, and then suddenly when I was lost looking at his beautiful form, I forgot to give direction, but Swami reached the place. And then I explained to Swami, Swami, this is this room, and this is the living room. The way Father was explaining, I kind of, started doing that. Swami told, very good house. Come, let's go back. Then Swami asked, which standard are you studying? I said, Swami, 5th standard. Study well, I will take you to my college. I did not know that Swami had colleges. And then Swami told, if you will be a good student, I will take you even closer to me. So, there were quite a lot of things that was revealed in that dream, which I had not known in 79 when I was 5 years old. White robe, Swami wears white robe, Swami has a white car, Swami knows driving, Swami has colleges, and if I study, I will get an opportunity to study here, and if I am a good student, then I can go close to Swami. There was like 5 or 6 things. So morning when I wake up, I tell my mother excited, Mother, I got a beautiful dream of Swami. My mother told, very good. That's nice. And then when I told about the white robe, mother also dismissed it because we had not even seen Swami physically. Father was the only one who had seen Bhagwan. 5 years later, I came to Puttaparthi. I got an opportunity. Bhagwan pulled me on the birthday. And what happens on the birthday morning? Birthday morning, when all of us were waiting, after darshan gets over, suddenly a white car comes out. And then Swami is sitting there, and then white car goes to the Samadhi, where Bhagwan used to go to garland the Samadhi of his parents. Then I get excited. I ask the devotees next to me, was Swami driving the car? Then those devotees told, no, Swami was not. Swami used to drive earlier, but Swami was not driving the car. Then I realized, I immediately recalled that dream. White car, and then Swami used to drive. The two things had come true already. And that evening we all gathered in Purnachandra Auditorium. I was standing, the birthday is a lot of rush. I was standing from maybe noon, and I got somewhere, I remember the last row of Purnachandra Auditorium. And I saw quite a lot of space was reserved in the beginning, in the front. Then I asked a devotee, why can't we go and sit there? Why are we sitting in the back? And he said, no, those are reserved for the students. I said, students? He said, yeah, students of Swami's college. Then, hello, Swami has a college. And then I saw a beeline of all the students who came and occupied the front rows. And then beautiful celebration of Bhagwan's birthday. And then after the birthday discourse and everything was over, there was an announcement made. All the devotees were requested to stay behind for a jhula function. And Bhagwan goes out, and then he comes back in his beautiful sparkling white robe. And then the jhula was arranged, and then Bhagwan sat down there and swinging to the beautiful musical rendition of many devotees. And that is where I knew that all the signs that Bhagwan had given me, the white robe, the car, the driving, and college, the next two things are going to come true. Bhagwan is going to give me a place in his college, and if I am a good student, then Bhagwan will take me closer to him. The journey began. Bhagwan had already kind of, pulled me in. One of the first incident or the miracle that I remember before even joining to Bhagwan's college, we used to have bhajan at home every evening. One evening bhajan was going on. I can see many of the devotees here who were little children at that time. They all used to come to our bhajan, and then we hear a loud banging from the behind. And when I opened up, there was a family who were like neighbors staying behind us. And that auntie was standing there with nose bleeding and a black eye with a couple of her children. What had happened is that family, the father of those children, had a very bad habit of drinking. And so much so that the children who were of my age, they would come to play with us, but just before the sunset, the two children, they had to run to comb around the entire township where his father would be lying on a roadside, so that they could pick him up, drunk, pick him up and bring him home. And after about 1 or 2 hours, we would hear a lot of beatings, a lot of cries of the children. We used to be afraid to go to that family, that house. So we had that kind of a picture about that family. So when we hear that, the banging, and when we opened up, that auntie was in that condition, we welcomed them in. And then the auntie cried out and said, I don't want to go back to my home. And then, I don't know what happened to my father. He just pulled out one of the photographs of Swami from the altar and gave it to him. And he told, go with Swami to your house. Nothing will happen. She took that photograph, and when I was about to leave, Father told, ask your husband to come and meet me tomorrow morning. We were little children, we were very curious. So when auntie left to her house, we were kind of, putting our ears to the windows. Will we hear any more noises? There was pin drop silence. Next day morning by 6:30, that uncle was at our home. Father takes out Satyam Shivam Sundaram and gives it to him and tells him, you read this, then we will talk. 12 o'clock, there used to be a lunch time. Father comes back. Uncle is standing there. He has already finished first part. And he asks, give me the second part. Satyam Sham Sundaram, second part father gives. Then the uncle leaves. Then by the time 4 o'clock father has come back, uncle is at our home. He has finished the second part as well. Father gives the third part. The uncle goes back. By evening that night or the next day morning, he has finished all the 4 volumes of Satyam Sham Sundaram, which was written by Professor and Custody. The next day morning when he is at home, he asks my father, can we go to Puttaparthi? And mind you, 25 years he had been drinking. And that entire evening, the moment he touched the book of Satyam Sham Sundaram, he has totally forgotten about that drinking. Then he goes, and he had not seen Bhagwan. He had not seen Bhagwan. That is the power of the story of our Lord. It doesn't matter whether we have seen Bhagwan personally, physically or not. His story, his words have got equal power. Father brings him and they both come to Puttaparthi. And then they had planned for about 7 days. But they continued to stay for about 10 days. And in that 10 days, mind you, no withdrawal symptoms of that uncle. Right? And he continued staying there. He never left the darshan ground. Whenever they asked him to come out, he had to just move out, and he just went to the canteen only for food. And he spent this entire 10 days sitting in front of the mandir. And that transformation, there was a big transformation that happened. And then he came back. The entire family had been changed just by reading the story of our Lord. In 86, I finished my 12th standard, and that's the year when first time Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning organized a statewide entrance exam. That's the only time that happened. And there was a written exam that I gave in Bhubaneswar. And then there was an interview. Professor I.J. Naidu had come and he interviewed there a group of students. And then we again came to Puttaparthi for another round of interview. And then by Bhagwan's grace, got selected. And then Father told me, that was I think in the June 86, and Father told me, now that you have become Swami's student, you don't need to come back home. Because the statewide entrance exam were conducted that year, so the academic year for 1986 undergraduate started in in July instead of June. So we had about 1 month gap. So Father told me, stay in Puttaparthi. So I continued staying in Old Boys Hostel. And it was really one of the most beautiful time. That's why, because I was very excited, because I was seeing that dream that I had got when I was in my 5th standard had now come true. I had already got admission to Bhagwan's college. And that journey had already begun, that spiritual journey. And one of the most beautiful things that happened was all the senior students who had completed their post-graduation were also staying with me in the Old Boys Hostel. I remember Ruchir sir was there, Ravi Shankar sir was there, and they were waiting, because in the same year Ruchir sir joined Brindavan College as well. So what those students had was a beautiful albums of Swami's pictures. And what do I see in those albums? Swami eating food with the students. Students talking in front of Swami. And that close proximity, that is where I realized, that urge began, that what should I do so that I can get close to you? And then 1 month time, and plenty of time at my disposal. And there was one brother who gave me one book, The Family That Overtook Christ. And in that book, there is one very beautiful saying. It says, life is only to get close to God. Nothing else matters. That is where I realized that all along, all this while, whatever has been my life, what I thought is my life is not my life. The life was about to unfold only at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. And that is where began the prayer. July 4th, if I recall, 1986, we came to Brindavan. On 3rd of July, Bhagwan called all of us to the Prashanti veranda because we were to come to Brindavan and we were kind of, moving away from Bhagwan's proximity. And then all of us were sitting on the veranda. Bhagwan comes out, then he asks a couple of students, where are you from? And then all the students say. And then suddenly Swami asks, how many friends do you have? Then one student starts counting. And he says, Swami, 10 friends. Swami says, no, I'm not talking about worldly friends. I'm talking about real friend. Now, not all of us were from Prashanti Nilayam. We had not had that privilege of studying in Bhagwan's school. So, the real friend versus the worldly friend was a very alien concept to us. Then Bhagwan helped us and he went on to explain that God is your true friend. All other friends, they will come and go. But God is the only friend that will stay with you. That was the first lesson that I learned. Came here, joined in Brindavan. Wonderful new concept. I had never stayed in a hostel. I was all along in a school, at home. And all of a sudden, I was exposed to 10 to 12 students living in a dormitory. I came from Odisha. I did my schooling in a language medium school. My English was not that fluent. So, I used to kind of, all my roommates used to wait for me to speak up. Because if you have any Odia friends or Bengali friends, there is a mother tongue influence. We don't have a differentiation between sir and sure. We always say sir for everything. We don't have a verb, we have a bha, right? So when you try to pronounce those words, it will sound very funny. So students used to wait for me to kind of, utter some of these words so that they could make a laughing stock of me. So I used to give speeches back home, but that was only in Odia. But I never gave any speeches in English. But when I joined here, I had only one aim. I cannot speak because that requires me to master the English language. But I can sing. I said that I will make my aim. So first step that I will ask Bhagwan is please permit me to sing in front of you. And those days we had to ask Swami for permission before Swami allowed us to sing bhajan in front of him. So I used to hold always one letter with very simple line, Bhagwan, please grant me permission to sing in front of you. That's all the letter contained. I was waiting. In the month of August 1986, first time after we joined, Bhagwan came to Brindavan. And because August happened to be my birthday, so I was given an opportunity to go and get Swami's blessings. So inside Trai, there used to be a very small sofa where Bhagwan would come and sit. And birthday boys got an opportunity to fill the tray with toffees and akshatam, that is a yellow rice, and clove for Swami, and a flower. And then we would take it, offer the flower to Swami, then Swami would take the flower, and then pick up that akshat, and put it on our head, and then take the toffees and throw it to all the children. And if we are lucky, Swami would take a clove and put it in his mouth. So Swami did all that. Then suddenly Swami asked me, "Where are you from?" Now when I was in Parthi, I was reading through Sanatan Sarthi. And then one Argentina devotee was sitting in darshan, and Swami had posed this very question to him. And that devotee told Swami, "I am from Argentina." Swami said, "No, wrong answer." He said, "After you have come here, after you have come to Prashanti Nilayam, you should say, 'I am from Prashanti Nilayam. I am from Swami.'" That is where I learned that once we have come to Swami's fold, how that is where the life begins. Because all that we have done in the past is meaningless. So when Bhagwan asks me, "Where are you from?" I say, "Swami, I'm from Prashanti Nilayam." Then Swami says, "Oh, Manavadu." I did not understand what the Manavadu means. I asked, after Swami left, another person, and he translated what it means is our own. So because I had followed the teachings of Swami, instantly I had become his own. That's the power of Swami. You begin to follow one saying of Swami. Doesn't matter. We all have to kind of, see, you open up any book, any teachings of Swami. Take the most simplest one. Many times we get overwhelmed. We think that, oh, Swami's teachings are so difficult to practice. No. It's one of the most simplest things to practice. Pick up one of the most simplest things, whatever suits you, and you start following that. That very instant, you will become his own. So, started that. After that, I had this letter with me. Bhagwan blessed me with akshatam. He took the clove, he took the flower, he took the toffees and he threw it to everyone, but did not take my letter. I was disappointed, but I was very happy because first time Swami was speaking to me. Next day again I sat. We used to go to inside Trai and sit down in front of Trai, Brindavan on the road. And that is where the game began, Bhagwan's divine play. He would come, he would take the letter from my left, the student who was sitting on the right, student who is sitting behind, student who is sitting in front, but he would not take my letter at all. It continued for days. That translated into weeks, months, and years passed. At that time, I started to think and introspect myself. I have come so close to you, Swami. Why wouldn't you allow me to sing in front of you? Because I have heard Swami saying that in this Kali Yuga, singing is the one, Namasmarana is the only one which will take us across the Bhavasagara. I'm not asking you for anything else. I'm asking you to allow me to sing bhajan in front of you. Is that too much? Why wouldn't you permit me to sing one bhajan in front of you? That's all that prayer I had. But he did not grant me. He wouldn't even take that letter. And that is where I began to introspect. Wonderful opportunity. I'll tell you, I see very young students here. Brindavan hostel or Swami's hostels provide a wonderful opportunity for introspection. Starting from morning till the evening. And perfect examples, I found my perfect examples in my teachers. All the teachers who were there in Brindavan, without expecting anything else, from morning till evening, they dedicated their entire life for looking after the children of Swami. I did not expect anything from anyone. And I have seen many teachers have gone hungry because they had lunch duty And they were serving, but because they had the next hour class, they did not have time, and they had to be on time for the next hour class. And not once or twice, I've seen many of the teachers do this. I have in fact asked one of the teacher, why do you do this? Said, no. Swami has told very beautifully one thing is, if there is one student who is bad in the class, then that student can be corrected. But if one teacher is not good, then the entire class gets a wrong message. And that was being practiced by each and every teacher. And that is where I learned the lessons and began. I was given a beautiful opportunity of looking after the wisdom wall. I used to do quite late nights because the next day morning you wanted to surprise all the students by putting the colorful messages of Swami and everything in the wisdom wall. Thanks to Ruchit sir, Rajkumar sir, gave me that wonderful opportunity. And then, one beautiful thing I started at that time. I said, in order to come close to Swami, I need to do something. I have to start some practice, some spiritual practice in me. And then I prayed to Swami, Swami, tell me, what should I do so that I can come closer to you? I told Swami, I don't want to do something of my own and then falter there. I told Swami, you please tell me, what should I do? And then, this is one thing what I have noticed, when with your heart of hearts you cry out to Swami, next moment you will realize that Swami is there giving you a message either directly or through someone else. He is there to help you. All that we have to do is open up our heart and listen to that. That's it. It might be the faintest of words, but we have to be very alert to listen to that faintest of words. Next evening, Bhagwan talks about the efficacy of Gayatri Mantra. I said, I have my answer. And I started. Every night before going to sleep, I started chanting Gayatri Mantra 108 times. Every day. I was thinking, Swami has told it's one of the most powerful mantras. I'm chanting it 108 times. So Swami should start talking to me. The results should show itself, right? And Swami should take my letter. Bhagwan came and he left. Swami did not take even my letter. But I continued my journey. Every evening, every night before going to sleep, I used to chant this 108 times Gayatri. One night, our mind, monkey mind, plays a lot of trickery with us. It expects something and it doesn't get, it begins to doubt the very effort. He said, maybe Gayatri Mantra is not reaching Swami. Maybe you should do something with Sai Ram, maybe. Then again, I corrected myself. No. All gods and goddesses are one. So why are you thinking, no, this is your mind which is kind of, doesn't want to put that extra effort of 108 times chanting Gayatri. That is why probably it's trying to delude you. Do not listen to it. I continued. The reason I'll tell you is when we are in the spiritual path and when you get such kind of spiritual doubts, Bhagwan makes sure that those are clarified. Many years later, when I got a wonderful opportunity to sleep in Prashant Nilayam upstairs behind the silver doors, I used to roll my bed there and I used to always have this japmala under the pillow. One afternoon, Bhagwan comes out and he wanted to cross across to the other side of the mandir. And then when Radhakrishna sir was there and Swami was there and Swami called me up to accompany him. And when we were crossing behind the silver door, there my bed was lying and slowly that japmala had kind of, slid out. Bhagwan bent down, picked up that japmala, then he suddenly looks at me and asks, whose is it? I folded my hand. Oh, you're doing Gayatri Mantra 108 times. I had not told this to anyone. This is the first time I'm revealing this. I had got one doubt that maybe this Gayatri Mantra is not reaching Swami. Years later, Bhagwan gave me that answer. Whatever prayers, in whatever form you may think of him or not, everything reaches him. Faintest of cries always reach him. And he answers it. Coming back to Brindavan days. So, once again Bhagwan came back into Brindavan, and one day I was holding this letter and bhajan was going on. And those days, another beautiful thing used to happen during bhajan. Swami would come and sit in the sofa, and Swami would survey, and he would tell, now you sing. And Swami would tell, you sing this bhajan. And then after the bhajan is complete, there would be a pause. Then Swami will look for the next singer. Who should be the next singer? And he will ask which bhajan as well. So when a bhajan session was going on, suddenly Swami calls me. I was excited. 2 years of penance now is going to be now fulfilled. With tears in my eyes, I leap up. I cross over all the students. I reach out to Swami and hand over the letter. Swami takes the letter and very beautifully opens that letter in front of me and reads it. It had only one line. Bhagwan, please give me an opportunity to sing in front of you. And then, you know what Swami does? So what does this mean? Bhajan was going on. Next bhajan. So I immediately tell the music teacher, this bhajan I'm going to sing, this is a Shruti. And then the teacher is ready, he got it. And then after that bhajan was over, Swami stood up for Arati. Then I thought, okay, maybe this meant tomorrow. I waited. I waited for 2 long years. Another 1 day. No problem, Swami. I was the first 1.1 to go in for bhajan that day. And then we all gather inside Tarai Brindavan. Professor Narendra was our principal then. Suddenly Swami calls out Professor Narendra and says, today we will not have bhajan, we will have a quiz competition. Professor Narendra, you please conduct the quiz competition. Now, this definition again changed from next bhajan to tomorrow to maybe whenever you have the next bhajan session. Right? So I thought, okay, doesn't matter. We will have the quiz today. Next bhajan session. After the quiz, everything got over. Bhagwan retired. And then evening when we came back to Mandir, a hostel, there was an announcement made that the next day morning Swami was leaving to lay the foundation stone of Madanali Junior College. And we all the students, Swami had arranged buses to accompany him. So I requested the teacher, can I sing there? He said, no, first you have to sing in front of Swami. Then only you can sing outside in the public. I said, okay. I was disappointed, but when everything got over, then Swami got into the car, and then we got into our buses and we came here. There was a very beautiful ground here. There used to be a tree and that Sairam shed there. And I remember this is where the bus stopped in the evening, and I had asked one of the elder students that where has Swami gone? And that student knew, that elder brother of mine knew how I was pining to sing bhajan in front of Swami. He said, Swami has gone to Brindavan, don't worry. You will have evening bhajan today and you can sing in front of Swami. I said, okay. And instead of going to hostel, I rushed to Mandir and I sat there. 5 minutes passed, I'm looking, no other student is coming in. I was the only student who was sitting there. And then I realized that Swami had actually from Madanali had gone to Puttaparthi and Swami did not come to Brindavan. So I waited. So what this meant is next trip. So I waited. Next time Bhagwan came. And first day I was excited. I went to the bhajan teacher and I told, please, Swami had last time given permission. And now please, I will sing this bhajan. The teacher told, no, that was for the last time. You have to ask again Swami's permission. I said, I waited for 2 years. Now I have only 1 more year left. If Bhagwan again puts me through another 2 years of journey, I will not have much opportunity to sing. Anyway, began another journey of prayers. But Bhagwan was gracious. He permitted me to sing one day. I sang my first bhajan. And that's it. As I told you, Bhagwan used to always point finger at which student would sing. And he would kind of, never pointed, he never selected me to sing any bhajans. So I thought anyway, I got one opportunity to sing in front of Swami. But the mind, I wanted to sing more and more. It gets one, it wants more. And then many days passed and Bhagwan, when he did not call me or did not ask me to sing any bhajans, I thought, my mind kind of, told me, maybe Swami doesn't recognize you as a singer. He doesn't remember you as a singer. I said, okay. And in one such evening, when we were kind of, sitting in Mandir, Bhagwan comes and he tells, we will not have any bhajans today. We'll have speeches. And then Swami suddenly asks, okay, who will speak? And there were many students who kind of, raised their hands. As I told you earlier, I was not that very fluent in English, so I dared not raise my hand. So I was putting my head down and sitting somewhere behind in an obscure corner with a lot of other students raising their hands, trying to catch the attention of Bhagwan. Suddenly Swami turns to me and says, hey, singer, get up. I was very happy when I heard the word singer. Oh, Swami remembers me as a singer. I leapt up. And I went near Swami. And then Swami told, speak. I took namaskar. My heart was in my mouth. I gave 1.5 hours of speech. Okay? No, don't be surprised, please. In that 1.5 hours of speech, there were 55 minutes of pauses and 20 minutes of speech. Because I'll tell you the mental process that was going on. I would think in Odia, translate every word into English, rearrange them for grammatical order, think how I should pronounce so that I don't make a laughing stock of myself, and then speak. So much of parsing was going on. And at that time, nowadays only the computers are very powerful. Those days it was very slow. But loving Lord, lesson learned. He sat through that entire 1.5 hours of speech. I narrated one beautiful miracle of Swami that I had heard from my mother. That's all. I just told that. And I remember Ravi Kumar sir was there, Sandeepan sir was there, all of them were there at that time. Bhatia sir was there. And then, after the end of my talk, when I took namaskar of Bhagwan, Swami did not even take arati. He stood up and he straight went up. Then slowly all the students and everyone started looking at me, the seniors, saying, what is this? You're not supposed to speak such a long. You have to speak short, 10-15 minutes, not 1.5 hours. And what was that speech? 55 minutes of pauses and 20 minutes of speech in that. You took such long gaps between your sentences. So as I was kind of, thinking or beginning to curse at my dismal performance in front of Swami, suddenly Swami's door opens upstairs and he comes out in the arch. Very beautifully, he used to kind of, put his hand like this on the chin, and he said, that Odisha boy, so beautifully he spoke. Among all the students, 300 students who were down, those few words were nectar to my ears. He said that Odisha boy spoke very beautifully. He spoke from his heart. And that's when I realized it doesn't matter whether you are a great orator or not. I know that in this podium probably great orators have stood and they have spoken. But what matters to our Lord is when you speak from your heart. Because when we speak from our heart, that is where we connect with Him. And that's exactly from that particular moment onwards, Bhagwan taught me that greatest lesson. It doesn't matter what is here, how smart you are here, but what matters is how pure you are here, how connected you are here. In this context, I remember another incident. Bharat Cultural Integration Committee used to organize very beautiful music programs in Puttaparthi, just before Bhagwan's birthday. Many prominent singers from India, from abroad would come, and they would kind of, get an opportunity to sing in front of Swami. I don't want to take a name, but he was one of the greatest exponents of Shastriya Sangeet, Hindustani. He had come to perform. I remember this vividly because that particular year, Prime Minister was Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who passed away recently. He was to come, and Bhagwan was waiting for him that particular evening. And this exponent of Hindustani Sangeet started his first alap. And Bhagwan was sitting there among the audience. And then, hardly he had gone through 1 or 2 minutes into the rendition, Bhagwan suddenly got up and he came up behind. Now, if you know about our Indian music, especially when the great ustads or exponents of Shastriya or Carnatic songs, when they kind of, give a performance, sit down to give a performance, it is considered an offense or an insult if you get up in between and walk out. And here was our Lord. 1 or 2 minutes after the alap, he had got up and he had come to the backstage. And we were there behind, and I was kind of, worried whether something Swami wanted and we had not done. And that's why Swami had to kind of, leave the music rendition in the middle. First song also is not complete, and then had to come back. And Swami just came back and he sat down, he called us, and he was just talking with us. The first song finished, and that exponent had about 1.5 hours of time. And all of a sudden, what do I hear? Shouting of that exponent. This is the first time, I'm the greatest singer of this world. And this is the first time someone has insulted me like this. I will never ever come back. And he just walked out. Fast forward a couple of years, Bhagwan started music college. There were little children who were learning. And one evening, Bhagwan tells me, call the music students to come, and I want to listen to them. Those music students came there. Swami Bhagwan made them sit in his own living room and asked them to sing. They were learning the Tyagaraja Kritis. They had not become masters. They were learning, they made mistakes. Wherever they made mistakes, Bhagwan corrected them. They went out of talam, Bhagwan was playing manjira and corrected them. Here was an exponent of Shastriya Sangeet, whom Bhagwan wouldn't even tolerate for 1 or 2 minutes. Here was his own students. They ran out of songs. They told Swami, this is all that we know. Swami told, start all over again. What do you do when you get up? You do sargam practice? Said, yes, Swami, do sargam practice now. And they did sargam practice in front of Swami. The difference? Someone was singing from here. The children were singing from here. But that greatest exponent of Shastriya Sangeet, they are great masters. They are the devotees of Lord Goddess Saraswati. That greatest exponent of Shastriya Sangeet understood his mistake. He understood that if I have ego, ego has no place in Bhagwan's darbar. The day he realized that, Bhagwan gave another opportunity. And mind you, Bhagwan sat through his 1.5 hours rendition in another opportunity. And not only that, Swami kept asking him, sing more, and sing more. So, Bhagwan has very beautifully told. He told that I have given each and every one of you all the qualities, but I have not given you ego. The moment you get an ego, I'm not going to stay there. I had a unique opportunity of, sitting sometimes with Swami and asking very simple, questions. And Swami very beautifully would kind of, answer those. Once I asked Swami, what is the quality that you think we should nurture? I know you have told so many things in all your discourses. But what is the quality that we should have that you expect from each and every one of us? Because at that time I was thinking that if you look at our parents, right? If our parents were to send us somewhere, they prepare us, right? If they are sending us to a first day to the school, they prepare us. Okay, in school, this is what would happen. You are supposed to behave like this. If we are going to a hostel, this is what you are supposed to do, the do's and don'ts, all of those. So when God sent us to this earth, has He not prepared us? So what did He give us, and what that preparedness that He has given so that we have come here? So what is the qualities that we should nurture? Swami very beautifully answered. You think I have not given you all those qualities that I want you all to nurture? I was still waiting. He told, remember, he asked me, you remember your childhood? I told, yes, Swami. So what is the first thing that comes to your mind? I told Swami, innocence. That is a quality I have given you. That innocence is that quality that He has infused into every child when he is born. And He expects that innocence us to retain till we go back to Him. Every other qualities is not dear to Him. How can we develop that innocence is all that matters. When we were little kids, we are so innocent. We used to love everyone. But as we grew up, we began to identify ourselves with our human body consciousness. And then that is where we began the ego, and then we forgot our innocence. Now, coming back to Brindavan days, Bhagwan blessed me with giving that opportunity of speaking. And then after that, Bhagwan, one day bhajan was going on in Kalyan Mandapam, and then Swami just stopped the bhajan and then asked me to speak again. I was more nervous at that time because inside Trai Brindavan, it was only students and teachers and very few selected guests. Here there were devotees. And the hall also was bigger. I was nervous. Then Bhagwan said, don't worry. You keep yourself empty. Do not think about anything else. I'll speak through you. And that's exactly what he has been doing. And I'm grateful to Swami for that. One of the days, Bhagwan came to Brindavan, and then we gathered in the evening to go for darshan inside. And then Swami never opened the Trai Brindavan door. That's never heard of, but he did not open the door. We waited, became evening 6 o'clock, and then suddenly we got a word that Swami has retired to his room, and then Bhagwan will not come out. And then we came back crestfallen, disappointed, because in Brindavan, Bhagwan used to come very few times, and then those few times, those moments with Bhagwan used to be very intimate, because we would gather around Swami and listen to him, and then that, when you take that away, Brindavan was like any other college in the rest of the world, right? So we were kind of thinking that way, because Bhagwan was present. And then 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week passed, nothing happened. And then one fine day we were called inside. And then we rushed inside. And then just to find that Swami was not there anywhere down. And then we were expecting Swami to sit on the sofa and then we could gather around him, but Swami did not, Swami wasn't there. And then suddenly Swami came out on the upstairs, and then Swami asked, thank you. He told all the students, thank you so much. I wanted to be here for about a month, but thanks for your behavior that I'm going back to Puttaparthi in 1 week. So we were not very happy with that comment, of course. And then suddenly Swami turns to Radhakrishna sir, who was driving Bhagwan's car at that time. What time are we leaving tomorrow? Then he didn't know what to say. And then, 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock we are leaving. Then he said, yes, Swami, we are leaving at 6 o'clock. And then Bhagwan retired to his room. And there was pin drop silence. All of us were kind of, coming out. And then suddenly I hear one of the students next to me say, oh, I have my dinner duty now. Let me rush to ring the dinner bell. I don't know what happened. It just came out of my mouth. When Bhagwan is unhappy, who wants to eat? I did not realize the mistake I had done. I just told this. By the time I reached the hostel, the dinner bell rang, but nobody turned up to the dining hall. Second bell, third bell, nobody turned up to the dining hall. And I was so sad that I went down to the basement to the meditation room. That day, nobody turned up for the dinner. Then all the teachers got worried, because the students are Bhagwan's responsibility entrusted to the teachers. And then the teachers got worried that, oh, here is a group of Bhagwan's children who have not had dinner. What has actually happened? And the word spread, Dillip brother has asked us not to eat. I had not told anyone. It just came out spontaneously. Finally around 9:30, Rajkumar sir and Nandagopal sir traced me down to the meditation room. And then I remember those words, sir was very upset, and he said, "Do you know what you have done?" I said, "What have I done, sir?" Because I was oblivious to the fact that none of the students had gone to the dinner. Sling, you told something, and then none of the students have gone for food. And in 70s something similar had happened. Students skipped one lunch, and Bhagwan, who was there in 1 week, Swami did not touch even water in Prashant Nilayam. When he came back after 15 days, Bhagwan had become very thin, and he got down in front of the hostel. He walked in and he told, "Thank you, students, for making me so thin. Now devotees will not call me Donnapota. You skipped one meal and I have not touched water from past 10 days. You want that to happen here?" I said, "Sir, I did not know this." He said, "Be careful when you utter." Swami keeps telling, be very careful about your words. One slip of the tongue, many things could go wrong. Now what do? The damage has already happened. What is the remedy? Thought, okay, knowingly or unknowingly, I have done this mistake. I started going to each and every room. Students had, dinner bell had also rung, the night milk had rung. Nobody had turned up for even milk. And the students had night prayer, because the routine must go on, right? All the students had gone to sleep. I went to each and every student, opened their cupboard, opened up, got their plate. If they were willing to come down, brought them down. If they were not willing to come down, came down, took a chapati, curry, took it up, gave them food. Even there were many other students who accompanied me. We fed students, and the dinner was going on till 2:30 in the night. The last student we fed at 2:30, we washed his plate. And that kind of a unity you can see only here. Such spontaneous response to a mistake that had happened, and the cooperation, that only in Bhagwan's institute, Bhagwan's love only can inspire. I was not happy, because I knew that I had done a biggest mistake. I had the right over my own body, but I had no right to starve Swami's little children. So my room was facing Bhagwan's room. So at the end, I was tired, my body was aching. I just opened the window. I closed my hands and I prayed out to Swami, "Swami, please, please, please forgive me for the big mistake that I have done today. And if you have forgiven me, give me a sign." 2:45, and suddenly Swami's bedroom light comes on. I thought 6 o'clock Swami is leaving. At 2:45, how can Swami's bedroom light come on? That something is not right. I started running around the hostel, and Swami told Swami, I started shouting, "Swami is leaving early, Swami is leaving early." And few of the students got ready, and we rushed to Tribhuvan. Bhagwan came out at 3:30. There were only 4 or 5 of us. Swami came out, got into the car. I had written a letter. I put my hand inside the car, and Swami did not take the letter, but just then the door was shut, but the letter remained inside. And I did see Swami take the letter from the door. We all came back crestfallen that we had upset Swami, and Swami had left without being happy with us. And then that afternoon, we suddenly get a message that tell the Brindavan. There were about 4 or 5 of us who had put up a drama in Bhagwan's in the sports meet called The Triumph of Truth. asked those students to come and present the drama in the Vice Chancellor's conference. And we were overjoyed. Bhagwan had forgiven us because he had called us to come to Puttaparthi and then present that drama. And then, of course, began a spree of practice. And then we had a mid-semester exam, which were cancelled for about 4 or 5 of us, of course, except the chemistry one, because Narhari sir was always difficult. He was stickler to the rules. He said, no, I'm not going to set another second mid-semester paper. And I was poor in chemistry, and 50% of the marks used to be carried to the finals. The reason why I'm telling this is, I failed in chemistry in my graduation, because that was my final year. What appears to be the worldly failures, I did not know that that's going to be the success in the spiritual world. Because when I could not complete my graduation, I got an opportunity to be there in Puttaparthi. 2 years I had pined to sing in Bhagwan's presence. In Brindavan I got once or twice or maybe 3 or 4 times. But in 89, when I did not complete my chemistry and I had to wait, that entire year till 2003, every morning, me and Mohan Rao sir got a perfect opportunity to sing in front of Swami's every morning bhajan. That's exactly what I had prayed for. And then the journey began. I was there in June, and then Bhagwan started telling me, go back. You come back again in September and write your supplementary exam. I said, no, Swami, I don't want to leave you. Then he kept on saying, please go, go. Then I kept saying, no, Swami. Bhagwan went up to an extent that one day he called up Professor Nanjundaya and told something in his ears. And then immediately Professor Nanjundaya rushed out. And then he comes back, and the moment Swami in the meantime has opened 2-3 times the interview room door. And then he looks at Professor Nanjundaya, then calls him in. And then Professor Nanjundaya hands over a bus ticket. And then Swami comes to me and he says, here is your bus ticket, now go back to Odisha. Then I was in a dilemma, what do I do? Swami has been telling me to go. I have been telling Swami no, because the mind was playing the trick. One side, should you obey Swami? Because Swami's command is very important. At the same time, is it a test that when I ask you to go, do you want to go away from me? That's a dilemma that I had to kind of, choose. And at that particular moment, I was not able to decide what should I do. Here, Bhagwan had gone to the extent possible, and he had the ticket in his hand. I prayed out to Swami, Swami, what should I do? And that's where also Bhagwan is so loving, he helps us. What the thought he plants in me? He says, if Bhagwan wants you to really go, he will not hold the ticket, he will put the ticket in your pocket directly. He is not letting go of the ticket. He is holding it in his hand. And he never let go of the ticket. So I said, no, Swami, I don't want to go. And that was the last time he spoke to me that year. Again in August, after that, until that time, what used to happen is wherever I used to sit, all the students would sit near me because they knew that Swami will come near me. Now, from that day onwards, I was sitting all alone because wherever I was sitting, Swami would not come near me. But I was happy. You know why? Because if you're sitting in one place and Swami is not coming near you, that means he has noticed where you're sitting. That's why he is avoiding you. I am in his eyes. Doesn't matter whether he speaks to me or not. I am in his eyes, and that is what is important. So when we follow his wordings, his teachings, he will give us those clues that he is listening to it. but at the same time, 100% faith you have that we are in His eyes always. Each and every one of us are in His eyes. And then began the journey. He did not talk to me for about almost till December. And in December, 11th December 1989, I remember that day, because I had just finished serving in the South Indian canteen and had to come back to the old boys hostel. And then I was tired, I was just sleeping. Bhagwan had come to Brindavan. And then all of a sudden, from the deep sleep, as if someone just woke me up, I got up, walked up to the street, the old boys hostel, to the window, which kind of, faces the road. And I see the majestic red Mercedes-Benz of Swami coming in. Nobody in Puttaparthi had a clue that Bhagwan was coming from Brindavan that day. I rushed to the mandir, ashram. I was the only one in the ashram, and then Bhagwan's car comes and I open Swami's door. Swami gets out, and then the mandir was locked. And then even the main door of Prashant Nilayam was locked. And then I run to the bhajan mandir and open so that Swami could sit there. And then Swami told, no, 3-4 hours I haven't sat in the car. I don't want to sit. And then he was walking in the veranda. And then Mr. Jaikumar was the Central Trust Secretary that time, and then he was summoned, and he came running. He was panicked that Swami has already arrived, so he came running from home. He forgot to get Swami's room key. Then again he had to rush back, pick up the key, and then come back again. And then Swami's room door was open, and then cleaning, everything was going on. And then suddenly Radhakrishna sir opens the door, and then he calls like this. I did not know Radhakrishna sir at that time. So there was another brother sitting next to me. He went up. Then he told, no, that other boy, Swami has called him. And then I went inside. Then Radhakrishna sir asked me, does Swami call you Odisha boy? I said, yes. I told, Bhagwan has asked you to be here. So that was inside the interview room door. I sat there. I stood there. And then that evening, I went back home. Swami told he might not have had food. Let him go back. And then next day morning, kind of, was a routine, Suprabhatam, Nagar Sankirtan and everything. And then I used to stand with the old boys' students, and then was about to come. That time Swami had kind of, Radhakrishna sir opened the door and asked Professor Nanjunda, where is that student who had come last evening? And then he told, oh yeah, Dillip, he's kind of, sitting here. He said, no, Swami has been asking about him from morning. Then when I went inside, then Radhakrishna sir asked, where were you? He said, my response was, last night I was asked to leave. Nobody asked me to come back. Then sir told that you have to come back here every day, unasked, until you are asked not to come. So once someone has come to Bhagwan, Bhagwan will never stop him from coming again and again. I would like to end my talk with one small incident. Brindavan is known for its summer courses. One of those most important talks or the days of summer course, every one of us used to eagerly wait for, is when Bhagwan would talk about his own childhood. One of those, in 70s, Bhagwan, in one of the summer courses, was talking about his own childhood. And one student, very beautifully, very innocently asked Swami, Swami, you are God. If you have read Satyam Sundaram, we know that before 1940, the kind of physical trauma that the innocent villagers have put Bhagwan through, Bhagwan's body through. They did not know. Bhagwan's head was tonsured, it was cut, lemon was squeezed, all those things. So this boy asked, Swami, you are God. You could have easily known that those people are waiting to catch you, could have taken another route. You wouldn't have let yourself being caught. Why did you allow yourself to be caught and again, allowed yourself to be tortured physically like this? Why didn't you use your divine power and then avoid it? If I had that, I would have easily done it. Swami very beautifully told, those who are born on this earth, at some time or other, have to undergo suffering. That's written. But when a person is undergoing suffering, and when he sees another person who has suffered even little more, he draws strength from that difference. So here I have come down not to use my divine powers on myself, have chosen to undergo what a human being goes through, even through those sufferings and everything, so that I can set an example for the future generations, people who have seen me, people who have not seen me. Those we read about me, they will realize that here was our Lord who suffered. Even he, when he came down, he also went through that suffering. And they will derive strength out of that suffering. We are all extremely fortunate because this very land, every piece of stone that we see here, every tree that we see here, has the in-breath today of the out-breath of our Lord. The out-breath of our Lord has been absorbed by the trees and everything around this place and Prashanti Nilayam. And those out-breaths we are in breathing today. That Swami is in each and every cell of us. We are all sanctified and we are all verily that Divyatma Swarupalara, that Prema Swarupalara, that Bhagwan so lovingly used to address each and every one of us. Thank you so much. Sairam.
Sairam, well, what can I say when somebody who is speaking from the close quarters, experiencing divine blessings and love of Swami. Thank you, Brother Dillip. I'm taking this opportunity to say address as brother for sharing your favorite moments with Swami and the learnings that Swami has taught you, and of course the Swami's love for his students and various other. I would just take one moment where before this session I actually spoke to Sainath sir, since Sainath sir and Dillip sir were all together serving Swami from close quarters. Sainath sir has told me just two things. Dillip is an honest person. He's highly duty conscious. And sir had shared an anecdote where in 2005 when Swami asked both of them to leave, of course Sainath sir was a bit upset, and Dillip sir had told Sainath sir, see, when Swami asked us to come and serve, we never questioned. But now Swami is asking us to leave, we don't have the right to question. Yeah, and so blindly follow Swami, that is what it is all about. And thank you, sir, for reassuring us the purity, what Swami always emphasizes. And also, sir, nicely brought out the unity aspect of we all collectively praying for Swami, and also the minute hints Swami gives us in our daily life of his guidance, of his blessings, of his assurance. Let us all be alert so that we don't miss those minute blessings Swami hints us in our daily life. I would love to invite Sri Govindrao sir, one of the oldest serving Sevadals at Brindavan Ashram Bookstore, to felicitate sir with the shawl. Sri Govindrao sir. Dillip sir, please come over. I would also request Brother D.R. Harish, manager of Sri Sathya Sai Gokulam Canteen, and also serving manager of Sri Sathya Sai Vridhashrama for the past 7 years, to felicitate Dillip sir with a bouquet. We sincerely thank Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organizations Karnataka and the Brindavan Management Committee for their total support in conducting the Samarpan sessions here. And we thank Director and the Warden and all the students of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning Brindavan campus for attending this satsang session. And we also thank the audiovisual team for arrangements. We thank the Brindavan Ladies Sevadal team for preparing the sumptuous prasadam that is awaiting. And we also thank all the devotees gathered here to partake and also listening to the Bhagwan's glory here in this Samarpan session. And a couple of announcements. Next month, we'll be having 89 Samarpan here in Brindavan on 16 September between 4 to 6:30 p.m. And the speaker for the day will be Sri Ratan Kanal, alumnus Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. And next week, August 26th, we'll be having the monthly musical program, One with Sai, here in Brindavan. And the performer will be Preeta Prasad. Preeta Prasad hails from Kerala, born and brought up in Bangalore, and now is a permanent resident in Malaysia. Had taken part, she's a professional singer, and had also taken part in various other commercials and films in Singapore and Malaysian TV channels. Preeta is also founder of the Odyssey, a musical school catering to the contemporary music and the voice culture. And we request all the devotees to take part of Bhagwan's prasadam, which will be served after the Aarti. And after the Aarti, please let us all proceed towards the Sai Brindavan. We'll be doing the Pradakshina, and don't forget to take prasadam. And we now request the speaker, Sri Dillip sir, to perform Mangalarti to Swami. Thank you. Sai Ram.
जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वर ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका अमर बांधवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरुदैवमु मरियन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरियन्तयु नीवे नार ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नर ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नवेन्द्र शयन ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंदको मंगल आरती अंदको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।